Good morning, all of you. I welcome you all to Ansarkari. So, in this video, we are going to take up the important articles for 31st of January 2023. So, as we are aware about the Adani issue, the whole issue that is regarding the Adani group, it has been accused by the Hindenburg group for like stock miscalculations, manipulations, and even regarding the financial accountancy. So Adani Group has given a reply through 413-page reply, but Hindenburg Group has to say that their reply ignores the key questions that were raised against them, and even the opposition parties, they want answer to the questions, to the allegations. And when we look at the exposure, so majorly we can see that State Bank of India and Life Insurance Corporation have like invested in Adani Group. So talking about the exposure of LIC, so LIC says that its exposure is under 1% of the total assets under management at the book value. So that is there. And we are seeing that Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan is getting more activated in Pakistan since Taliban came to power in Afghanistan. So this group, it is known as the Pakistani Taliban, and it is again claimed the responsibility of the suicide attack which killed 61 people in Pakistan's mosque. Then we see, okay, so here you should be knowing that same-sex marriage, they are not yet legal in India, and Supreme Court in 2018, it decriminalized the homosexuality, urging the LGBTQ plus community to forgive history for their brutal suppression. But same-sex marriages, they are not yet legal in India. Then talking about the invasive species, so Sena spectabilis, you can see in the picture also. So it is an exotic invasive plant that is posing a severe threat to the specifically Kerala's wildlife habitat, and it is like there in the Periyar Tiger Reserve, which is there in Kerala. So Sena spectabilis is an invasive species. Coming to the editorials, so this is a beautiful article regarding the millet cultivation in India and what are the challenges at the ground level. So here a beautiful introduction is there which says that Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations. So first important thing is that it is under United Nations, and it has declared the year 2023 as the International Year of Millets. So millets, they have special nutritive properties, which includes they are high in protein, they have dietary fibers, they have micronutrients and antioxidants. So all these are very useful for human health. So apart from this, they are like also drought resistant and they're suitable for semi-arid regions. So combined both these characteristics, they become very important given obviously climate change, and when we talk about food security, and even when we talk about the malnutrition in India. So if millets, they are good for nutrition also and they are climate resilient, so what then are the constraints to increased millet cultivation and the consumption? So what are the challenges then when they are like there's a win-win situation on both the sides? So then what is the real problem in promoting the millet cultivation or consumption? So we see that when we talk about cultivation of millets in India, so there are majorly two groups of millets that are grown in India. So first, the major millets, which include sorghum, which is jowar, there is pearl millet, which is bajra, and we grow finger millet. So these are the major millets which are grown. So this is the first group. So second group includes the minor millets, which includes foxtail, little millet, kodo, proso, and barnyard millet. So these are two types of groups of millets which are cultivated in India, and they were earlier called coarse cereals, but they were renamed and we now address them as nutri cereals. So that even a change in name changes our perspective towards them. Once we used to address them as coarse cereals, so they're also associated as poor man's food, and now we address them as nutri cereals, so it reflects the positivity through a change in name also. So when we talk about the total production of these nutri cereals in 2019-20, it was around 47.7 million tons. And currently, the millets, they are procured only in a few states, and the stocks in the central pool, they are also very small. So this is like one thing we are not, so actively procuring the millets, and like they are not so much of like no so much supported even through MSP program also. So the real problems are, firstly, there is decline in the area under the millet cultivation, and secondly is there low productivity. So these are the two main challenges: low area under cultivation and low productivity. So over the last decade, the production of jowar has fallen, production of pearl millet, that is bajra, has stagnated, and the production of other millets, including the finger millet, that is ragi, that has either stagnated or declined. So the productivity, the production is not performing so well, and the productivity of jowar and bajra, that has increased, but only marginally. So not only, we can say a phenomenal increase in the productivity has been witnessed. So these are the two findings, and unless we work upon increasing the productivity and the production, so all the initiatives or whatever like funds are being spent, that would be futile, and the ultimate motive would not be achieved. So ICR, that is the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, it has pointed out that area under the nutri cereals, that has declined steeply in India since mid 1980s. It was around 41 million hectares in 1980s, and it has now declined to 24 million hectares in 2017-18. So the reasons for a shift in land use, that includes low yields. So we were like witnessing a shift in the land use when it comes to millet cultivation, that was majorly because of low yield associated with them, and further processing of millets is also a time consuming process and a laborious task, and which is undertaken mainly by women, and additionally very little is marketed. So when we like discuss about marketing, we like obviously that thing also requires much more attention, and a tiny share of the grain, it was processed into value added products. So all these challenges require attention, and only then we can ensure that their production and consumption is increased. And when we talk about another issue, that is the economics related to millet cultivation is also an issue. So when we say the economics of millets, so that includes the production, the consumption, the marketing. So all of that is included in that. So we see that they're like one of the most difficult outcomes to measure regarding millets is their consumption and their nutrition. So firstly, availability of millets is one of the factor which is causing this, and also because of the changing food habits, we see that these are not consumed at a larger scale in India. So increasing the production of the millets and reversing the decline in the area under cultivation, they are going to be the feasible steps, but obviously they are not going to be easy, because when we talk about increasing the production or the area under cultivation, it is important that millet cultivation becomes attractive for the farmers. Only then they are going to be going ahead with the cultivation of millets, when they find that it is going to be profitable for them. And apart from that, it requires scientific inputs, require institutional mechanisms, support from Food Corporation of India. They must be procured under the PDS scheme and under the MSP also. So financial incentives should be provided, and also in-kind support. So few states, they are also taking up certain missions regarding the millet promotion, which includes Karnataka and Odisha. And small farmers in the hilly regions, in the dryland plains, they can be like more trained, they can be educated and made more aware regarding the benefits of millets cultivation, so that they can like have a sustainable livelihood through millet cultivation. And this can all like also prove beneficial in doubling the farmer's income also. So that is there, and adequate public support can make the millet cultivation profitable, ensuring the supply for the PDS, and ultimately provide nutritional benefits to a wide section of the population. So it like holds great potential when we talk about providing nutritional security also, which can help in reducing the problem of malnutrition in India. So this was all about the millets. Then we are seeing that Germany's economy it shrinks in fourth quarter, so this fuels the recession fears. So as we are talking about almost every day that specifically the advanced countries, are they really headed towards a recession or not? So from Germany, we are seeing that its economic growth is declining. Then we also know about the rising number of layoffs, specifically in the IT firms, the big tech companies. So here the data is like presented in front of you, which is showing the people laid off. So in Alphabet, in Microsoft, Meta, in Amazon, you can see the number of people being laid off and their percentage of the total workforce. And this is also presented through the graph. So you can see it is the number of layoff, it is increasing, the graph is increasing upwards. So obviously this is going to be a tough year for the IT companies, and this has been like addressed as midlife crisis for them. So during the COVID pandemic time, the IT companies they saw huge growth, which was majorly because of that the work was becoming increasingly remote in nature. E-commerce grew because people they started relying more on e-commerce, buying and selling of goods through electronic platforms, and the housebound people they also spend more and more time online. So as we know that the screen time also increased during the pandemic times. So all of these factors helped in increasing the growth of the big tech companies, but now it is going to be a challenging year for the IT firms, and because of that, they are also like increasing the rate of laying off of their employees. Then, when we talk about the government, it is censoring the BBC documentary. So, there's a whole debate around this BBC documentary, which is based upon the 2002 Gujarat riots. So, petitioners, they have like a petition has been filed in the Supreme Court. So, petitioners, they have urged the court to quash the orders either directly or indirectly, which is like censoring this film. And when we talk about the fundamental rights, so the right to freedom of speech and expression, it also incorporates the right to disseminate information, which is obviously enshrined in Article 19, Part 3 of the Indian Constitution. So, which is a fundamental right available to only citizens of India. And this is there. So, another plea which was like filed approximately 8 years ago regarding the electoral bond scheme. So, the Supreme Court is going to examine that plea, and the plea it alleges that the scheme, electoral bond scheme, it has opened the doors for anonymous donations to the political parties days before polls are due, and they were introduced through amendments via the Finance Act of 2016 and 17. Both they were passed as money bills. So they have through the electoral bond schemes, they have opened up the floodgates to unlimited political donations. And also in focus is like recently we saw that the time period for issuing of the bonds or the sale of the bonds that was increased by 15 days during the assembly poll years. So these are certain things, and you should like you can find out more about how the electoral bonds they work and how many number of times are they available for buying and selling in one particular year. Then we talk about the 16th Finance Commission. So right now, the 15th Finance Commission, it is headed by or chaired by N.K. Singh. And Finance Commission, it is a constitutional body, and Article 280 of the Indian Constitution is like regarding the finance constitution of the finance commission every 5 years. So next up the 16th finance commission would be appointed. So finance ministry also notifies the terms of reference of a finance commission, and the main task of a finance commission is to recommend the revenue sharing formula between center and the state. So majorly it kind of promotes fiscal federalism. And the 15th Finance Commission basically it was constituted for a period of 6 years, but normally, as I told you, that under Article 280, it is formulated for a period of 5 years. So it was there for 2015 up till sorry, not 2015, it was there from 2017 to 2023. So that was the time period of 15th Finance Commission. So that is there. And The last time Finance Commission was granted a 6-year time frame, it was the ninth Finance Commission, which was formed in June 1987. So the single year was between 1989 to 90, and then the next following 5 years between 1990 to 1995. And that is there. So it is a constitutional body. This becomes important. Article 280 talks about the Finance Commission Constitution appointed for a period of 5 years. And I've told you that the last time a Finance Commission was appointed for a period of 6 years was the ninth Finance Commission, and the period was 1989 to 1995. Then talking about the pending UN reforms. So the UNGA president, he says that the reform of the Security Council, it was a member-driven process and nothing much has been done about the UN reforms. So in order to ask the permanent 5 members of the Security Council itself to accept any proposal coming from the United Nations General Assembly for the reforms, there should be a resolution in the General Assembly, and it has not happened so far. So the General Assembly, it has like always been very much divided when it comes to UN reforms. And he also reminded that the system of veto in the Security Council, it is 77 years old system, and that it has become a kind of a tool to block the working of the global body and not to encourage its working. So these are certain concerns, and India definitely, it has played a vital role in the past years in improving the response mechanism of the United Nations. And apart from that, India's contribution in stabilizing the world, specifically during the COVID-19 pandemic, which has which has shaken the world, and also during the war in recent years. So these are like some of the words and which were like addressed by the UNGA president regarding the UN reforms. Then, as we were talking about the LIC's exposure to the Adani Group, the PNB's exposure to Adani Group, it stands around rupees 70 billion rupees. So, if the allegations they turn out to be true, so it can be like it can hamper the financial stability of India's or the financial system. So that is going to be a major concern, which is related to this whole issue, the financial stability. So a proper investigation needs to look into this whole issue. And when we talk about India's coal power output, so India is planning to use an emergency law next month to force the power plants that run on imported coal to maximize their output, because the government feels that the coal-fired power plants, specifically which are run by the Adani Power and Tata Power, which are located in India's western Gujarat state, they have not operated at their full capacity in the recent years. And obviously, because of the rising demand of electricity, the government is planning to use an emergency law so as to force these power plants to increase or to work at full capacity, at the full potential. So that's all for today. Thank you for joining in Sarkari. You'll get the PDF link in the description box. And do not forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, share this video as much as possible. Thank you so much.